And we are live. Okie dokie, here we are. Night number 5, is that right? Yeah. And we're going to give some tzedakah, as is our custom around here. Opening up the Kol Chabad Pushka app, and going to give some money here. All right. Why not? Just give a little bit more. Isn't that cute when you shake it? You got to get this app, Kol Chabad Pushka app. Okay. All righty. Let me make a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakel niyah b'devarei. Okay. I got the paper printed out. There's a lot of sonic stuff going on here. Okay. You know what? I'm going to wear the headphones again. Last night I put on the headphones because somebody in the chat said that they couldn't hear, and I wanted to test the audio, so I put on the headphones. I'm putting on the headphones now. Okay. All right. I told you before, I put on the headphones to cover my crazy hair. I have long hair right now. I can't cut my hair. You know, I was an oval last year for my father and this year for my mother, and I would always learned in halacha that you have to grow out your hair for 30 days. Till someone yells at you and tells you to get it cut. And then I found out that the minhag is 3 months. I can tell you about my hair problems. It tugs. It gives me a headache. My long hair, when I'm trying to sleep, when I'm lying down, it tugs on me and on my scalp and gives me a headache. Woe is me. Okay. Here we go. Baruch Hashem, Chof Beis Mar Chaysh from Tafshin Tezayin, Brooklyn. Bracha v'shalom. All right, guys. I've told you before that Rebbe says shalom uvracha to a man. So now we finally have a bracha v'shalom. What's bracha v'shalom? To a woman. And I just want to give a little commentary here and say that here we have the Lubavitcher Rebbe running a global operation, dealing with massive issues that affect the entire world. And the Rebbe is writing to a young lady, a single girl. How do I know she's a single girl? Because if you read the rest of the letter, you'll see that she is. And I don't know how old she is. I don't know if she's 18 or 20 or 22 or I don't know what age she is. But it seems like she's the age where a lot of girls are finished with their own schooling and they are teaching. They're in their first teaching job. And they're still single and still looking for the proper shidduch. And I'm just guessing, based on those markers that are implicit in the letter and in the context of the culture of that time, which is really still our time, I'm going to guess that this is a girl who's 18 or 20 or 22 or thereabouts. And here we have the leader of world Jewry taking time to correspond with her about her life. And I just want to pause and acknowledge how awesome that is. Coming to Yud Aleph Nisan, the whole point of 30 letters in 30 days is to prepare ourselves for Yud Aleph Nisan. Yud Aleph Nisan, we thank Hashem for the gift that he gave us, that the Rebbe was born, that Hashem gave us the Rebbe. when we reflect on the fact that we have a Moshe Rabbeinu, is Pashtusa de Moshe, who is spending time giving personal guidance to a young girl, a single girl, about her personal life. All I can say is, fortunate are we to know who the Rebbe is and to have a relationship with the Rebbe and to be guided by him. Okay. In Entfer auf dein Brief von Yud Daled Cheshvan. Yes, this is a Yiddish letter. It is a Yiddish letter, and many of the Yiddish letters are written to women. Back in Tavshin Tezayin, this is still 1955. It's the last couple months of 1955. Yiddish was still a vernacular that many Jewish people spoke, and especially as opposed to, like, I'll say more scholarly or rabbinic figures where the Rebbe would write to them in rabbinic Hebrew. When the Rebbe would write to people who didn't necessarily converse well in Hebrew, the Rebbe would write to them in Yiddish. The Rebbe generally wrote back to people in the language that they wrote to him in. So it could have been that she just wrote to him in Yiddish. But the point is, I'm just bringing this out more. We're talking about some young girl who speaks Yiddish, meaning to say, I know today to say a young girl speaks Yiddish is like a status symbol of her, how immersed she is in Yiddishkeit. But I'm saying in 1956, it's like this is a regular Hamisha girl. You know, this is a nice regular girl. She's not the Rosh Hashiva. She's not the Rosh Kohol. She's a girl with a teaching job, and she speaks Yiddish. And the Rebbe, Nasi Dareinu, is talking to her about her life. So in answer to your letter from Yud Daled Cheshvan, in welchen du schreibst, als dem Jahr interessiert sich nicht so wie vorigen Jahr in dem Lernen mit die Talmidos von der Kita. And in your letter you write that this year you're not so interested as you were in teaching your students in last year's class to live, because why? Why is she not as interested in this year's class as last year's class? Zu lieb dem, weil sie haben nicht solche Fähigkeiten zu aufnehmen dem Lernen also wie die Friedeke Kita. They're not as capable. They're not as talented to grasp the learning like the previous class. Okay, so here's the letter. We've had letters like this before in the general sense of a teacher who's complaining about their challenges in the classroom. And the Rebbe definitely cherished and valued the role of a classroom teacher and gave from his holy time to guide and direct classroom teachers. Sometimes the complaint would be more in the nature of, I can't reach these kids because they're not interested in Yiddishkeit. They're so desensitized. You know, that's a complaint. But here it seems to be, it's more about their academic prowess. She's not saying they're poorly behaved. She's not saying that they're wild. She's saying, listen, it's not as interesting to me. I'm going to jump on that word that Rebbe uses, which sounds like that I was using her word. It's not so interesting. It was more interesting last year because the kids were smarter and I was able to explain more things to them. And this year they're not as smart. They don't grasp as much, and it's not as stimulating for me. Basically, that's the complaint. Okay. Remember I told you last night that the problem is the solution? Remember I told you that that's one of the things I discovered in the Igros and that I imitated in my Ami column and just in general in my own life and in helping people with their lives. I look for that all the time. The problem is the solution, because the Rebbe did that all the time. Remember last night we had was it last night? The problem is the solution? No, last night was the Rebbe telling the guy that needs to spend more time with his family. 2 nights ago, I think we spoke about the problem is the solution. That the guy said, I can't focus and concentrate. I have no time and capacity to focus because I'm constantly preoccupied with other things. And the Rebbe was like, oh, good. That's good news. You're constantly preoccupied. That means you do have the time and the ability to focus. You're just not focusing on the right things, right? Okay. Tonight is another iteration of the problem is the solution, in my estimation. And I'm not saying this in any passive-aggressive type of way. I'm saying if you want to learn these letters on your own and have your own insights about them, please do so. But if you're learning with me, you're going to get my insights. And I may be wrong. Strong disclaimer there. I may be completely wrong. But here's what I think. I think this letter is a great illustration of the problem is the solution. Meaning the very thing that you came to me to complain about is actually good news. But let's see. And I just want to preface before we go into it. It's not that I was being dismissive, God forbid. Oh, do you think that's a problem? When we were kids, we had to walk 10 miles in the snow to school. Uphill, both ways, right? When the Rebbe tells you that the thing you're complaining about is actually good, it's not being dismissive. It's actually the very opposite of dismissive. Dismissive means where you sort of ignore the person's situation. The Rebbe does it by leaning into your situation and like really examining it closely and saying, hold on a second, stop, hit the pause button. Let's look more closely at the situation you're dealing with. And I think we'll find that there's a deeper quality that you're not aware of. And if you were aware of it, it would change your whole feeling about the situation that you're in. I think that's what the Rebbe does a lot in the letters, basically taking a problem or something that someone felt was a problem and saying, if we look more deeply at the situation itself, what you perceive to be a problem may actually be a wonderful blessing. Okay. Let's look here. V'hine. There's a Hebrew word. Es ist verständlich as adarabba. It is understood that to the contrary, she's complaining and saying, I'm really losing interest in this class because they're just not so bright. Says the Rebbe, adarabba, to the contrary. Der Inyan darf zugeben noch mehr Cheshik und mehr wie gewöhnlichen Interesse zu erweckstellen die Talmides auf der Geherike Hoich. This very concept, the very fact that they're not so intellectually capable, that itself should awaken in you greater excitement, more than normal interest to set these girls up and establish them on the appropriate level. Meaning to say, you're saying you're not so interested. What could be more interesting than this? This is super engaging. You have a bunch of girls who are not performing at grade level, and you have the opportunity to bring them up to par. Well, that's super interesting. Okay. Watch this. Ki harei ze kol ha'adam. That is the whole of man, meaning the very purpose for which we exist. Ze kol ha'adam. You'll recognize the wording there. Ze kol ha'adam. Tachlis b'yoseh. But the point is, it means that's the whole point of it all. That's what it's all about. That's what your soul came to the world for. Lesakin chelkoi ba'olam, to fix your portion in the world. What does it mean, your portion in the world? It means that everybody has a share in making this world, Elam Hazeh Hagashmi, Adira Lai Yisbarach B'Tachtainim. Everyone has a share in the work of transforming this physical world into Hashem's home. And Hashgacha Pratis dictates that everyone is born into certain situations and everybody is given a certain mission in life. And so you look and you see, here is the mission that apparently you were given. It's not your entire mission, but it's definitely part of your mission, is to be a classroom teacher, at least for this year, with these girls. And you're saying that it's understimulating, it's not so interesting because they're not up to par intellectually. And what I'm telling you is, what could be more engaging or stimulating than performing the very task for which your soul came to the world? So they need more work. They need more help. Okay, I get it. Yeah, maybe it's more fun to learn with girls who are brighter and they grasp more quickly. But if you want to talk about meaning, you want to talk about purpose, you want to talk about your soul came to the world to accomplish something, this is it. This is it. So, I should have your attention over here. You shouldn't tell me it's not interesting. It should be super interesting. I say to you, I'm about to reveal to you your purpose in the world. I should have your attention. Well, guess what? These girls, this classroom, this work that you need to do this year, that is, at least for right now, your purpose in the world, or part of it. Watch here how the Rebbe gets even more specific. So the purpose of a person is to fix his portion in the world in Einklang mit seine Kishreines welche Hashem Yisborach hat let's flip the page, geschenken, in keeping with the talents that Hashem graced him with. In other words, this is an important part of the formula. It's not just that Hashgacha Prat is, you're in this place and you were given this job and you're dealing with these girls. That's part of it. But there's another important element to all of this, which is Hashem made you a great teacher. You have kishroinos, you have talents. You are a talented teacher. Well, my goodness, you don't have to be a genius to be able to put all that together and have a pretty strong indication of just how important this is right now, not just to you, but to the purpose of creation. Hashem gave you a teaching talent. Hashem put you in this classroom with these girls who are not up to par. It is so evident that this is your job. And this is the whole purpose for your being in the world. Bifrat, now let's get even more super specific, especially a kishorin in chinuch und hashpa of Jugend. The Rebbe is saying this could be said about any talent a person has, but how much more so? We know the Rebbe's bias, how the Rebbe really, really emphasizes the importance of chinuch, of education. So especially that your talent is in education and influencing the youth. So Hashem gave you a chush, Hashem gave you a talent, a predisposition to be good at this type of work. And now you're placed in a situation where this work is especially needed because these girls are not on the level that they should be at. This is so clearly important. Is das doch der Tachlis von sein Beschaffung zu mehren Lichtigkeit in Welt? This is the purpose of your creation, of your having been created, to increase light in the world, durch verspreiten ner mitzvah Torah or, through spreading out, disseminating the ner mitzvah Torah or, that's Shlomo Melech's wording, the candle of mitzvah and the light of Torah. Ulafum tzaira agra, and in accordance with the pain is the reward. So yes, this is not the easiest class to teach. It's not like last year where the girls were very smart and you were able to just engage them automatically. Now you're going to have to work harder. But lefum tzaira agra, in accordance with the toil is the yield, meaning you're going to accomplish way more. In the grand scheme of things, what you will accomplish will be of even greater value this year than last year. You enjoyed last year more, but this year is actually going to be more meaningful. As dafka zelcha tamides, that specifically these types of girls, was sehr kishreine seine nitte sei entwickelt, which their talents are less developed. Seinen sei der chelik hayofe zu erfüllen mit sei dem rotzen abeida umidase shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu mida keneged mida. They are the perfect candidates, so to speak, for you to fulfill the will of Hashem, whose attributes are measure for measure. In other words, you couldn't plan this any more perfectly than Hashem planned it. You're a talented teacher. You have this ability. You're the one. If anyone can do this, who else? I mean, who can do this like you? To take this group of girls and work with them and bring them up to the level that they need to be at this year. And in so doing, you will be fulfilling the will of Hashem. And remember that Hashem's way is mida keneged mida, is measure for measure. So watch what the Rebbe is about to say. You'll be doing Hashem's will. What's Hashem's will? That these girls should succeed in their learning. But you're necessary as part of this plan. Hashem picked you. And you get the opportunity, you get the merit, the privilege of being the one who's going to carry out Hashem's plan. Like, I love this wording here, where the Rebbe says, "Zayin zeh der chelik hayafe." These girls are the chelik hayafe. Literally, it's like a beautiful lot. But what it really means is, like, to me, it's a total reversal. You were writing to me and saying, I got a lousy class this year. It's so uninteresting. It's so under-stimulating. And the Rebbe is saying, no, you got the best class. This is the chelik hayafe. For what? I mean, it depends on what metrics you're using, but if you're measuring the ability to, like the Rebbe says here, erfillen mit zei dem rotzen abeida, to do Hashem's will, well, this is the best opportunity for fulfilling Hashem's will. And then as the Rebbe says, and you know, Hashem's ways are mida keneged mida, which means what? Elashakama pomim kacha, but much more, many times more, meaning Hashem not only pays us back what we pay him, but compounded many, many times over. As wenn men erfüllt dem Ratzen von Hashem Yisborach, that the Rebbe spells it out. When you do Hashem's will, chotsch der Yetzer Hara probiert einreden, as das is a schwere Sach, even when, notwithstanding the fact that the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is trying to convince you that this is difficult, but you're going to anyways do Hashem's will. Is denst mal HaKadosh Baruch Hu tut dem Ratzen Adam, then Hashem's going to do your will, zu erfüllen seine gute Herz verlangen, to fulfill the good wishes of your heart. So you're going to do Hashem's will by helping these girls who are struggling, and Hashem's going to do your will. Now, I told you already, I know this young lady needs a shidduch. We didn't get to it yet, and we still have a few lines left in the letter. But it's implied here, and in the next few lines, it's said fairly explicitly that these things are connected. Not in a tit-for-tat, like, transactional way. Like, hey, you want a shidduch, you better do this. But more in a sense of you are sent to the world for a purpose. When you're living in concert with your purpose, when you are aligned with your purpose, then blessings will come into your life. So let's continue. V'hirotzin as mit zugob koyach und lebendigkeit. God willing, you'll have an additional koyach, a power, a lebendigkeit, vitality. Sollst du sich interessieren in der Verbesserung von der Matzav Hakita, you will take interest in the improvement of this class. Und sie soll steigen mit Darge le Darge, and she here actually means the class. The class should should progress from level to level. Und soll sein pri toiv in dein Arbeit, and you should see good fruits for your labor. Mitzvah gereres mitzvah, and one good deed brings with it another good deed. As du sollst kennen, unzogen bekorev, you should be able to report very soon. As die Talmide seinen oises chayil, that the students, these girls, are doing well, they're succeeding. And also you should be able to report, says the Rebbe, as Hashem Yisborech hat dir gemacht, gefinnen dein gute Zivug. Hashem made you find a good match. Fardir, for you. Not just a good match, but a good match for you. That's an important point. Doesn't have to be the perfect guy for everyone, if there's even such a thing. It has to be the perfect guy for you. Gut begashmias und gut beruchnias gam yochad. Good materially and good spiritually, and good both materially and spiritually together. And you see how it's all connected. Do your job, fulfill the purpose for which you were sent to the world, use your talents to the fullest, don't listen to the Yetzer Hara that's trying to discourage you, and everything's going to work out really, really well for you, and you're going to write to me very soon that the students are doing great, and you met the right guy, and everything's beautiful, materially and spiritually. B'vrachal b'suras tevis, b'chavod, with a blessing for good news. B'chavod. I really have to emphasize this again. And someone's writing in the chat, by the way, trying to call me out. RST, you called her a young woman, then a girl. Would you call a male who taught a boy? How would you call? I don't know what. Yes. So colloquially, yes, we do call young women girls. I think maybe that's a little old-fashioned of me, but I think when we speak about a single young woman, I know it's more politically correct to call, I don't know, what age, bas mitzvah, you're supposed to say woman, but a female who is single, I think it's okay that we refer to them as girls, especially that we're emphasizing the point that please find me another Gadol Sheba Yisrael, a Manig Yisrael, who is corresponding with what we refer to as a girl. If anything, it only underscores the point that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is taking this person super seriously. And also that signing off, I was just moved again, the Rebbe signs off, b'chavod, honorably. Like, the Rebbe takes people seriously. So this is a young single girl or young woman, however you want to say it, doesn't matter. Let's not be pedantic. The point is, this is somebody who I don't think in other circles would be taken so seriously, to be given such time and care And here, the Rebbe is not only giving her time and care, but conveying to her that he respects her, that he considers her to be an honorable person, which is very moving and very unusual. And I think we take it for granted. I do. I'm sorry. I think especially Lubavitchers take it for granted because we're so used to the fact that the Rebbe gave everybody attention. But I think it's absolutely amazing and that we should learn from it and we should be inspired by it. We should be more like that, to take people seriously. The Rebbe invested in people. The Rebbe saw, obviously, you're talking about a tzaddik who sees the neshama, and the neshama is unlimited, so the Rebbe already sees the unlimited potential. We don't see those things, but at least we know about them, and we have an example. We have a living role model to emulate. At any rate, yeah, I found that very moving. Thanks for joining me. And tomorrow night, remember, it's Thursday night. Is that true? Yeah, Leil Shishi, a double letter. We're going to have a double letter because we don't do Friday night letters because it's Shabbos. So tomorrow night's going to be a double letter. So get ready. Put on the Bluetooth speaker in the kitchen while you're doing your Shabbos cooking and listen to a double letter tomorrow night. Okay, good night.